Hello everyone, Argsy here. Welcome along to our first look at Upper Mississippi River Valley, or UMRV as it is more affectionately known. This is coming to us from DJ Modding and it has a lot of pedigree behind it. Originally an FS17 map made by DR Modding. DJ gave it the treatment in FS19 and it has come through here into FS22 as well. Retaining a lot of the feel and key features that it did have and adding to it with all the new elements that have come with FS22, which is very, very nice to see. Now, I'm not going to profess to being someone who played on this map in 19. This is my first real look at it. Obviously seen some other YouTubers and content creators who played on it and things like that with their series previously, but this is really my first look in here at UMRV. So I'm excited to go and take a look around it, share my views of it with you, and just dive into it. So, first up, let's have a look at the PDA and we'll have a chat about the fields, and then we'll dive into some of the other key features that DJ has in the map that he's pointed out to us before we go and take a little bit of a look around. Taking a look here at the PDA, and obviously the dominating feature of the map is the mighty Mississippi River, which at this point is the border between Wisconsin and Iowa. Now on the left hand side is actually Wisconsin. We've got a sell point here, Prairie du Chien, which is a small town on the banks of the Mississippi in Wisconsin, which means the other side here is Iowa. Now, those of you familiar with the area will realise that they are around the wrong way if this was north up the map. Obviously, the north direction is this way, and that would put Wisconsin and Iowa on the correct sides. But we can look past this. This is a fictional map. Bear that in mind when you are playing it, and obviously well loved for a reason. Now, the map has 63 arable fields ranging in sizes from, well, there's a few small ones, but mainly medium to large, and a few meadows around as well. There is multi-terrain angle installed in the fields, and there's 32 different angles of that, so you'll get some nice textures as you're working through the fields and turning on corners and things like that. Field sizes, field number 9 is our smallest, 0.629 hectares, and that's just up here, and the largest field is 42, down here 38.488 hectares. So a bit of a variety there in sizes. When you buy the lands, you'll see there that some of them are actually bunched together. So field 9 actually comes here as part of the farmland ID 15, so you do get field 16 there as well, and it looks like there's probably a farmyard in it. Now if you do choose to start the game in new farmer mode, you do start out here with these fields in the centre, 32, 33, 34 and 35. We'll just have a look there. Obviously with the changes with the game, you can see those farmland IDs are just a little bit different, but that is the land that you do start out with on new farmer. And obviously there is a fermenting silo, grain dryer down there, as well as the gas station or fuel trigger down on the farmyard. So we'll be able to go and take a look at that. So speaking of the farm areas and farmyards, there's 7 custom farm areas on the map. There's 9 dairy barns and 3 pigsties as well scattered around those farms. So you could set up as a dairy operation, have hogs, or just be set up to do arable work. You do, of course, need to buy the land, as is the case with pretty much any of the placeables or animal pens or anything like that. To be able to use them, you do need to own land. All the farmyards do have fuel fill points, but none of the houses on the yards have a sleep trigger, and that was done deliberately so you can place down your own sleep trigger and make the house your own. Corn drying is built into the map so you can produce dry corn from the corn. With that came propane to be able to run that corn dryer, so you'll need to fill those up with propane. There is custom flat bottom grain bins added across a number of the different farms, as well as custom harvest stalls inbuilt, so you can produce silage from grass, alfalfa, clover and chaff. So just mentioning alfalfa and clover, 2 new crop types added into the map, which can be mowed as grass and baled and used as food for animals. As well as the propane added for the corn dryers, there is also anhydrous ammonia, so you can get out there and use that as fertilizer instead of liquid or dry fertilizers. Custom crop textures for corn by AW Modding, and wheat and barley destruction provided by Serious Mods, which is nice to see. The corn and soybeans can also output corn stalks and bean straw, which can be baled and sold. The map has a custom geo inbuilt, so corn and soybeans can be planted in spring and harvested in winter, so a little bit of a wider window there than what the default game brings. Focusing a little bit more now on the town areas, there's 10 sell points included, and these vary for each product, as well as an operating train with a silo and sell point that runs down the edge of the river. There is a John Deere dealership on the map, and included in the dealership there are dealer vehicles that can only be used as demo equipment. This includes 2 T560 combines, a 7R, a 4755 and a 7810. So you can use those to run equipment, drive it around, or if you need a little bit of a hand with your harvesting or any of the work you're doing. There's also a bulk feed shop where you can buy seeds, lime, herbicide, fertilizer, anhydrous and propane. Another feature DJ has added is a sell point for chaff for those that don't want to mess around with making silage. and going through the fermenting process, you can just deliver it straight to a sell point and get some money from that. There's also a number of custom production points included: whiskey, beer, wine, ethanol, potato chips, soy milk, pasta, and oatmeal productions, which are all included. Again, very, very similar to what was in Green Valley. Another little addition is 2 fire stations, which have animated doors on the map. So if you wanted to roleplay being a firefighter, perhaps use the fire engine, which was released on ModHub recently, you could go and download that and be the firefighter for the area. The recently added working traffic signals script by Argsy Mobile has also been included, and we'll go and take a look at those in just a little bit. There's additional ground textures which can be used in paint mode, so if you wanted to get into some landscaping, there's more flexibility and options there for you. Custom lighting with an orange sunrise and sunset, and it will be darker at nights, so maybe some mods like the extended lights for your tractors and combines and things like that if you're going to be working into the darker hours. And last but not least, custom Iowa license plates are added, so just keep in mind where you park when you're on the Wisconsin side of the river. You don't want to be targeted for anything. Now, one thing on a map of this size that would be nice to have would be a pre-created auto drive course, and our friends at the Auto Drive Creators have got you sorted. They've had access to the map early thanks to DJ, and they have pre-created an auto drive course. Will be available to download from their itch.io page, so you can go there, download the config file, add it into your game save, and enjoy the benefits of auto drive right from the start. That's pretty much our look here at the PDA. Obviously you can see everything that's in front of you, you can see where the different farmyards are scattered around, and we'll go and take a look at those in just a little bit. We've got our 2 main towns where all the production points are. So I think the way we're going to split this, we're going to start over here on this side. At the moment we're standing down here at the store, you can see our little icon there, but we're going to go over and start over here on the Wisconsin side of the river. Take a quick look at what's happening over here, take a look through the town and the production points before we go and wrap up and take a look at all the land up here on the Iowa side of the map. Now, of course, one of the things that I do like about DJ's PDAs, he's got a list there of all his FS19 maps, so you can see UMRV there up the top, and everything else he was responsible for in FS19. And down the bottom, he always does add that little bit about content creators, and it's always nice to see the Argsy Gaming logo down there shared in amongst all those other wonderful content creators. And then lastly on the right here is some credits for people who have either helped out DJ in different ways, or where he has got assets and those kind of things from to use in the map. So recognition there as well. So a nice little touch from him. So for this map tour, I'm going to try something a little bit different. Rather than going for a drive around the whole map and covering a whole lot of roads and cutting between areas, I decided we might just go for a bit of a flyover and stop and focus on some of the key points as we get to them. We've started right down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. For want of a better way to describe it, we are on the Wisconsin side looking down towards the mighty Mississippi River. You can see how much of a valley it is over this side. A couple of silos down there in front of us, that is a Cargill's sell point, so you can sell your crops in there. We're just going to head along here on the left-hand edge of the map, follow the road along the top up here, looking at all the fields up here for the Wisconsin side of the map, and we'll stop at the farmyard down there. One feature as we just start to move, you can see, even though there's not really forestry in this area, you can see there is some pine trees, so if you do want to get in there and do some proper forestry, there are some areas up here which are relatively flat, reasonably spread out, that you could get in here and cut some trees down, which is a nice little feature. I know some people are enjoying it and others don't. Obviously the key focus here is the arable land. We're just moving here across fields 51 and 52, and one feature on this side of the map that is very prevalent with the elevation is actually the nature of the tracks. They are very windy, narrow little tracks coming up from the bottom of the valley, so access is certainly a consideration you are going to have to give as you move up and around the fields if you want to come up on this side. There is a slightly better access down the other end, which we will go and have a look at, but predominantly it is just these narrow windy little roads. Again, another one just there on our right. So we're just going to carry along here just for a little bit further. You can see the plane, the shadow there of the plane as it's flown over us on the right, and some people might get a little bit irritated by the repetitiveness of the plane, but it is there and it is something to enjoy. But here is the first of our farmyards, so we'll pop down, stand on the road and go and take a look at what there is in here. We're walking through the main gates here into the farm, and we've got a trigger there. Nice animation. I do like the gates, and I like the variety. So we've got the sort of really solid rigid white gates there, slightly rustier gates there. They open up, nice good space and lots of access to be able to get through, whether you're hauling your trucks or grain carts or whatever you might bring in here. And here we have a couple of the placeable custom flat bottom bins that are included in the map, so you need to be using your augers or whatever it is to try and get the crop into there, and also for getting it out of there. So they're nice that they're a different size, and just little things like having the spouts angled slightly differently Gives it a thought that are in a field that it's been built over time and built up. Old grain cart there in the back as well, just things like debris and general farmyard rubbish that's lying around. It's always a nice touch on a farm, and I know a lot of other people will comment exactly the same thing. We're coming down here, we've got our fuel trigger there on the right, fuel fill point. Some smaller sheds, and this side of the map certainly does lend itself to probably smaller equipment. The fields aren't quite as big, obviously not quite as good at access or anything like that, so as you are coming in and moving and working on this side of the farm, or this side of the map, you might want to reconsider, or carefully consider what size equipment. In fact, this would be a great little spot to set up with an old iron type playthrough on some of these fields. Workshop in here, looks like a shop. Can open the doors, look in there. Nice bit of decoration, bit of a contrast there with the John Deere and the case boxes on the side. I suppose that one you're not allowed to use to repair anything, and that one you can. But nicely detailed little shed in there with lots of tools and things floating around. And then we'll just pop up the top here through the back. We've got a garage with some more storage, and that's in behind the farmyard, or farmhouse. So again, like I said before, there's no sleep triggers at any of the houses. If you want this to be your farmhouse, grab a placeable, put it down at the back step, the front step, or wherever it is you might like to do that. So there we are, that is the first of our farmyards over here on the Wisconsin side of UMRV. We're going to carry on along the road here, following this along some nice shaped fields. That one there looks like a really interesting one to work in. But this is the track here. Still, like I said, it's still quite a narrow track. We'll just look down on it. But as we pan around, you do see it does get onto a more sealed formed road. So while the access is still quite tight and narrow, you can get up there off the sealed road. Now just heading across the valley here, this little gully, we can see the sawmill. So this is if you do get into some forestry and want to do that on the map. Got our sawmill there as well, and some nice convenient trees in here. So you might want to start working on this side of the map. That's what you're going to do before venturing too far away with the forestry. A couple of forestry watchtowers there as well. And quite possibly, in my opinion, the best view from a restaurant there is in Farmson, the Red Wagon Grill right there. Look at that view over the valley, looking down, heading across towards Iowa. So from here, we'll take a little bit of a spin around. You can look down there into the Wisconsin side with the sell points and things like that. There's the strip mall, we've got a football ground and a few production points we'll go and take a look at. Obviously lots of barges operating up and down the river. And then over in the distance on the other side we can see the Iowa-based sell points, and right in the distance on the horizon is the farms and arable area that we're going to go and look at once we've checked all this out. So a good way to get a bit of a perspective of the map. So down here in the bottom of the valley on the Wisconsin side, we're just going to go across all of the different sell points and production chains over here, getting over an Amazon warehouse where you can use that as a sell point for production products and things like that. And next to that is the miller's grain and feed, where you can sell a lot of different bales. Keep an eye on the little blue dots in the mini-map because they all signify different sell points or production points. Next one coming up is a Dollar General store, again a sell point. There is the Berrison Hotel, and across on the right is the Carpentry production point. The Prairie du Chien strip mall, again I do hope I've pronounced that correct, is where we're heading past right about now. And then we're coming up here, there is a Casey's store. And in just a little while, we are going to be going past a winery on the left, which is a production point, and then we've got the Lay's chips factory on the right, so you can take your potato there and get them turned into crisps. A little bit further up here, we've got Providence Grain there on the left-hand side, before we get to the cereal factory, and then beyond that is the spinnery, and in the very distance, around the corner, there is the Cargill's grain sell point, which we did see when we were up the top and checking out different things. So a number of different sell points, again nicely laid out down and different options here. Up here on the right, not a sell point, but it is set up as a little transport yard and depot. So again, could get in there and run some trucks and drive a little bit of a transport operation, going and picking up produce and products and crops and things like that from farmers and delivering them to the different sell points. We've crossed across the other side of the river and we're now going to head along the Iowa side, and first up here is Burkett's Mill as a sell point. You can see the train running there along below us on the way to Minneapolis. So there is a train silo up a little bit further that we'll go and take a look at that you can load up with grain. Nice long train, a decent number of cars on the back of that, so plenty of space to take a good amount of crops and produce to sell points. We're just going to carry on along here. It's a little bit spread out, just for now, until we get up to the area up here where it is a little bit more developed, and then we'll have to slow down because there is quite a lot of different production points all up here in one spot. The next one coming up here on the right is the whiskey still, so you can get some of that special brown brewed there and go and sell that. Nice way to earn some money on DJ's maps, get into the whiskey business. As we continue along here, I love the colour in the river. This looks exactly like what I'd expect the Mississippi to look like. Big, wide, brown, dirty river, and I love the barges that are floating down there or motoring down there and moving a whole lot of produce and different products up and down the river. So we'll carry on just down here, and then we're going to get into the real deal with all the different production points. So first up here on the left, we've got the beer brewery, so you can get in here, sell your products to the brewery or brew your own beer. We've also got an oil mill. There's the railroad silo just down there below us, so you can bring your produce there and load it to send it off to Minneapolis. We have the grain mill here as well. Got Patterson's Grain, which is a grain sell point. And then once we get here across the river again, or across this little inlet, we're going to get to the McGregor's strip mall. There's an Applebee's. The Country View Dairy is in here, so you can sell all your milk and things like that to the dairy. There is a bakery production point. And then, as we get a little bit further on, you'll start to see in the distance the tractors and that are in the store. So that is the main shop where you can come in and buy your products. Got a gas station down there on the right as well, the BP. But this is where you come in, where your tractors, any equipment you buy will spawn. As well as that, we've got an animal dealer down here. The Tractor Supply Co. is a sell point. And then on the other side of that, you can see all the silos and everything like that are the buy points for any of your products you might want to buy. Seed, fertilizer, anhydrous, propane, all of those kind of things. And then we've got Rudy's feed store in the shed there on the end where you can sell some of your bales and things like that as well. So again, something DJ does a really good job at is his towns and giving his maps a real lived in and community feel. I enjoyed it on Green Valley, and I think it's fantastic here on UMRV. A little bit different on this side as well, because there's a few fields down here on the flat part of the river valley, so highly fertile land, I would imagine, down here on the river flats. So moving from the lower part of the river valley on the Iowa side, we're going to head on up the top here and go and check out all the main arable land. This is where the big farms are, where the big fields are, where the majority of the farmyards are all located. We're going to go along in here and have a look. One thing to point out is there's really only two main access routes from the town and from the river valley to get up in here, and they're basically in the middle of the map. So the map sort of winds its way up, the roads come up and around, and then you wind yourself around the map as you follow these routes. So you can see here, well, from here I think we can spot probably 5 or 6 of the farmyards, and we've seen one already, so we can just about see all the different farmyards here across right through to the horizon. So we're going to head on across, we'll go down and take a look here at this first farm, and then we'll move our way around and go and check out some of the others. So farmyard number 2 here, associated with field number 11, and on the top side of the map. Head on through here, very similar setup to the first farm we looked at in terms of what it provides you. So we've got a couple of flat bottom bins in there on the side, then a couple of gates to go through to get to access those. And then we've got a couple of decent sized sheds, in fact there's 3 as you come around the corner, so a good amount of storage for some slightly bigger equipment in here. You can see our fuel fill point there on the right as well. Good amount of storage in there. And then up here on the left we've got our farmhouse, as well as a little bit of a garage for your pickup and any of your toys you might have as a successful farmer. But good amount of storage, nice little compact yard, and it's still not associated with any of the real big fields. They're more down into the middle of the map, but still, as you can see on the mini map there, number 11, number 12 is an interesting looking one with the terraces on it. We might go and take a look at as we fly across. But again, like I said, plenty of space, nice little farmyard. So we're going to move on from here. We're going to head back down the road, just taking a look here at this field. I do like how it is terraced. It would make an interesting one for course play, trying to navigate its way around those islands. I'd be intrigued to see if it could actually be done. Maybe someone can give that a go and let me know, because it would be a challenging map actually for course play. As you look around at all the fields, there's very few regular shaped fields. A lot of them being a river valley, there's a lot of streams and little gullies and valleys that feed into the main river, and with that it leads it to having these very organic shaped fields, which I really like. I think it adds a lot of character to the map, but it will add a little bit of a challenge, and it's not one you'd be wanting to do a whole lot of work yourself on. But here we are, a little bit more of a developed farmyard here in terms of the silo setup, so we'll go down and take a look at this one. So when I say developed, it's probably only developed in that it does have a grain dryer and quite a decent silo setup in here, bin setup. So you've probably got a good amount of storage here on farm. But in saying that, it does only have the one shed here that you could use for any storage. So potential option here to come in and build your own, add on to this farm and develop it a little bit differently to how the other ones are done. There's a little bit of flat area around, maybe the end of the field there or a little bit over the road. But this is one of the first farmyards that we'll just have a look at. Getting a few flickering trees there. I think that's a shade acacia issue. Try clearing your shade acacia to get the flickering trees. I have heard that it can be a problem. But I think if we open up here, this is one of the first of the dairy barns. You come in here, you can see the milking machine there on the right. And a nice barn, and as we head on out the back, and we'll take a look at this when we leave and jump up in the air. DJ's speciality, in my opinion, is these well decorated, well manicured, well prepared animal pastures. They just have this wonderful wonderful feel to them. They're nice and big and open, and once you've got some cows in here and they're roaming around, just feels really organic and natural, which I really like. You've got a slurry pit over here, so the cows do produce slurry, and you can use that to spread maybe some pumps and hoses, who knows. So from up here, you really get a good feel for the pasture and how DJ's decorated to give it that really organic feeling. So we're going to carry on down here. We're heading sort of to the top right hand corner of the map along the road here, and we're going to go and check out this farm over here in the distance. Obviously for access to it, you'd head down the road there and follow the road down to the left. We're just going to head across these fields, take a look at these. Starting to get some slightly larger fields, which is nice. Some options here. These three could potentially be ploughed up together and merged into one field. There's no reason you couldn't take those grass strips out there and really increase the size of that into one field. This is a much larger farm again. We're certainly getting up in scale, and it looks like we've got a few more cow pastures or cow barns here as well. So we'll get around, we'll go and have a look, because there's a few more things to take a look at on this one. We've come to the farmyard entrance here. We'll go through the gate. You can see up the left there is the main farmhouse, so nice to have this one separated. And there we are at Stanley Dairy Farm. Old values, new technologies, which is nice to see. McGregor, Iowa, so it does confirm my suspicions about which side of the river we were on here. So, like we said, as we flew across, nice big farmyard, nice and open, lots and lots of things in here to go and look at. Another one of the sheds there with the store and shop and things inside. First of our fermenting silos, the harvest stalls here that we have seen. You can see we've got our fill point there on the front, and probably our tip point here. Indeed, there it is. A little bit tight, probably a little bit of a challenge to maneuver through here and get into, but who doesn't like a little bit of a challenge every now and then. Loading dock there for animals, so I'm not sure if there is a trigger there for the animals. We probably won't be able to set because we don't own the land, but through there, open that. First of our cow pastures on this, cow barns, got the milking machine and things like that, so I would expect, without checking, that would be where your animal trigger would be. There's a gate here that we can go around the back of the yard and through the animals here and go and check out some of the other side. Of course, you'd need to get through here to come into the slurry pit, which we saw on the way through. 2 slurry pits, one for each of the animal pastures, cattle pastures, and another big shed in here. Decent amount of storage, and the first actually of our tilt-up doors. Nice drive-through big shed, big cool store there. Good amount of storage. Looks like a couple more decent size cow barns here. Can't open that door. Look, see one of these open. We are. Straight in through the middle. So again, like I said, another good size one in here. Very familiar, actually. These ones have appeared on a few different maps, a style like this, which is nice. Nice to have some familiarity, but also some uniqueness. And certainly big and long with these 2 barns almost side by side, or parallel with each other. And nice to see the different labels there, A and B, so you can clearly identify which of your cattle pens you're using. So we've got the loading there. I'm going to go and take a guess that is where you would unload your animals, the milk silo there, so you can fill up your milk and things like that. So, like I said, another really good big sized farm, and this one just keeps going. We've got a nice big silo there we'll go and take a look at in just a second. Decent amount of storage in here, although it is quite low, so that's something to be mindful of as you go in through here. So not really suited to all of your big equipment, but still a decent amount of storage. Nice covered unload and fill point here for the silos. You can come through there and unload. Of course, that does limit you to having a bottom hopper truck or trailer. You won't want to be tipping a truck or anything in there. You'll have all sorts of issues. Heading back around this other end, I did want to go and see if there's anything else down here. Bit of a gate out into the pasture here behind us. I think, is this the back side of the shed we were just in? It is. Felt like this shed went on for a very long way, but there is another one down here. Another open one. This would actually be quite good for storing some bales, something like that, if you had some hay or silage bales that you were using for your feed mix. And nice big flat area down here actually too, so if you wanted to build on further or anything like that, you can do that down here on this area. So definitely the biggest of the farms we've looked at the moment. That would make quite a good sized dairy operation there with all those barns and things like that. Very well set up. Some nice grassed areas out the side there. And of course there is the farmhouse and another toy shop there. You could park some of your toys in, you pick up and things like that. We're going to head along the dirt road here. Just wanted to pan around. A little bit of a recreation area down there on the side of the lake. Jetty and things like that parked up. But we are starting to move into the area where there is some of the larger fields. So you can certainly see on both sides of the road that we're just driving along, the fields are starting to increase in size, a little bit more open, a little bit more regular in shape, but certainly not perfect squares or anything like that. We're just going to head along here, head on up to this farm. You can see the top of the harvest store there. We've got 3 flat bottom bins just sitting in the sitting out on the edge of the field there. So depending if you own this farmyard, you could probably use those, put some crop in them. We'll just pop up here and just take a little bit of a look. Looks to be some deep ditches either side of the road too, so you'd want to make sure you're stuck to the track. Here we are, first of our red barn sheds too, isn't it? So nice to go and see some variety there in colours and everything like that. So we'll pop down and have a look at this one. Go ahead in here and take a look at the farm. Open the gate up. Again, another good toy shop. All these farmers with all their toy shops able to park their vehicles and all their equipment close by. I'll pop in here on the left. I believe this is another cow barn. We'll just open the door up there. There on the right there is the milk silo, so it does look like we can get some cows and put them in here. Much smaller in terms of scale compared to where we just were. This is more of a, well, feels more like a bit of a hobby dairy farm than mass producing high turnover area, but this is nicely set up. Very nice to see. Good little area. It's like Samson. I wonder if that's slurry, because I do know Samson makes slurry spreaders. That could be a slurry fill point. With the gate here you can access through. We've come through from the wrong side, so it did open towards us. Another harvest store here. We've got the unload auger on this side. And same fill point as on the other side. A little bit more space around this one to manoeuvre than the previous one we looked at. Then we'll just go over and have a look. A couple of open bays there you can park in. Head around the back here. See if the door are open. There is lots and lots of opening doors, which is nice to see. More often than not, you'll find a barn or a door that you just can't open, but not so far. I haven't really found any. Apart from on those last dairy barns, can't open. But there we go. A nice hay store in there. And over here, it looks to be more of your shop type building, workshop, storage area, thing like that. Nicely detailed. Let's see what they're doing on the computer today. Looking for a new case magnum. Very nice, very nice. Don't know if they'll need that on this size farm, but who knows. Right, let's carry on. We'll go and take a look at the next one, because I think we've seen everything there was to look at on this farm. Love the red sheds. They are very nice and very suited. But let's carry on and go and look and see what else there is. So leaving the small dairy farm there behind, we're going to carry on down the same road we were just travelling on. Head on down here to the left. Over to the right, we'll go and check that out very, very soon. That is the main farm you start out at. With the church sitting up there on the right, you can see the steeple, and right here next to us, the field on the right, is the largest field on the map, field number 42. So nice and open, big area in there. Still doesn't feel too large though compared to some maps, so you wouldn't be spending too much time getting in there and harvesting. We're going to carry on just down here, because I do believe this is the ethanol plant, which we did talk about a little bit earlier, where you can bring your corn in and get that sold. So we'll head on over. We're just going to fly over this. We've obviously got 2 entrances. Well, one's an entrance, one's an exit, and there's no arguing which is which with the wrong way signs. The Suncorp Energy McGregor Ethanol Factory. Head on and around here. Got a gate there to go through. When you carry on around past what looks to be the offices, indeed it is, there's the sign, office and trucks. So imagine we were bringing our grain in head on around this way. We've got the weighbridge to head on across before we carry on around to where we're going to dump from. Nice couple of little settling ponds there on the left. Nice little detail with that. We've got the augers and conveyors and things like that with corn. Then we're going to head on around. This is where I get lost, but this is a huge ethanol plant. It's fantastic. Really nice to see. Head on around this way. Have a look at this. A little bit of a shed there. Storage space. I imagine we would have turned left onto the road, and in fact, see up here is where we would go through, and there's the two unload sides, 1 and 2. Not sure whether the trigger covers both, but we'll just dive down and drive through that. So nice high ceiling in here, nice and high roof. So if you were using a tipping truck rather than a bottom hopper, you could do that. But there we are. That is the ethanol plant. Nicely laid out, lots of space around it, and does have a bit of an industrial vibe and feel to it, which is cool to see. Another weighbridge on your way out, and the gate to navigate as well. So we've made it down to the bottom right hand corner of the map now, which is where the ethanol plant is. There's a little bit of a valley through here, a little bit of road to nowhere which follows this little tributary along the valley, but it doesn't actually take you anywhere. But nice to see the effort has gone into decorating that and adding that road. A little bit more forestry land over here too, so if you wanted to take some forestry on this side, you could do. I do like the little detail up here with the little ford crossing as you go across the river. It's very cool to see that. That road does carry on down the valley and heads out towards the main river. We're going to head along here. We're going to go and check out the farmyard directly in front of us before, I think the very last one after that, we're going to go have a look at the starter farmyard. So some nice little routes up and down the valley, getting in and out of it there, which is cool. A couple of smaller fields there on the other side, particularly around the church. And a few larger ones in here, and some very interesting shaped ones too. Again, nice and organic, and slightly more challenging than your normal square fields would prove to be. So we've got two farms here. You can see the farmhouse down on the peninsula out there, and also the farmhouse on the farm on the left. So we'll pop down, we'll take a look at both of these, and go and see what they have to offer. So the first one we're going to look at here on the corner, go through the gates. This is mainly an arable type farm. There's a few sheds and a grain silo, but no animal pens or anything on this. Again, we're seeing the red barns here, but the same shed again. It's nice. A bit of repetitiveness there, but the different colours certainly differentiates it and makes it feel a little bit different to the other farms. Another one of those nice big long drive-through sheds. Farmhouse here, again with the toy store next to it. And we're just going to go around the wrong way, but we head around the back of the shed here. Go and take a quick look at the silo complex. Fuel trigger there as well, fuel full point. And there is our silos. So we've got the drive-through unload and fill point there off the back of the corn dryer. I like how this one bin is sort of tucked out here all on its own. Big conveyor over the top. Very unique. Not something I've really seen before in farm sim. And we've got a bit of an access way here. This gate's going to open towards us. But you can get in both sides on this farm, which is good. Good access in and around, which is nice to see. And this is the farm with the house right out on the point, and I think there's someone rich lives here. Look at this gate. Stone wall on the way in. Certainly feels a little bit more formal than some of the farmyards we've seen so far. So over here on the right, another one of the smaller little cattle barns. It does have the milk trigger and everything inside it. There's a slurry point around the side. And then we've got the first of our hog barns. So we haven't seen any of those yet, but we've got the dump point there obviously for food. So you can bring your pig food in and dump that in there, and it's got the conveyors and augers and everything which pumps the food through and gives it to the hogs. Sneak in here, the utility room, and then right through there where your pigs would be when they are in there. So not much else to see, but that is that hog area. Now if we just come around here and have a quick little bit of a look, like I said, nothing else really to see. Nice big grass pasture here between the house and the sheds, so you can get in here and make some silage or whatever it is you might want to do. Mow it for grass. You could even plough it up and convert it into an arable field to make some pig food. And then it's got our nice big farmhouse and another one of those toy sheds that all these farmers have. I betcha if we come up here, a nice little view looking back down the river. Isn't that something you wouldn't mind getting up to every morning? So moving on from these two farms, I think we only have one more to go and look at. There might be another, but we'll go and have a look at the starter farm. Just as we head along here, we're sort of just floating above the edge of the valley, and this is one of the roads that comes up from the from the valley, bottom of the valley, to get you up into the main farm area. Winds its way up and around here. There's different tracks. But I was just going to go pop in here and see what this was. A little bit of an Easter egg hiding up here in the trees. A tribute to DR modding. It's a nice little touch from DJ. Nice little clearing there with a little bit of a tribute to DR modding, the original creator of the map. And nice to see when that recognition and when modders and map makers can work together and are happy to have their work and creations worked on by someone else. Always lovely to see that sort of cooperation. But moving on here, this is the starter farm. So new farmer, this is where you will start out on, and as you can see from up here, very nicely detailed and well appointed farmyard. Got just about everything you'd need to start out in. Maybe not quite as big as some of the others, and not much storage, but we'll pop down and go and take a look at it. So heading up the driveway here, through the gate. Take a look at the farmhouse there. You can put a trigger on the sleep trigger on the porch if you wanted to make that your sleep trigger. Got a nice little open storage there. Obviously over here on the right we've got another cow barn or dairy barn. I imagine a build trigger here. In fact we can, because we own this one, we can get in there and have a look. So that would be where you'd buy your animals, which confirms what I'd suspected on some of the other ones. That would be where it would spawn. Another harvest store here, fermenting silos. Nice access to get in to dump into. A little bit tighter to unload out of. That's certainly a having to back in situation, not a drive around like some of the others were created. So again, isn't it nice to see different ways things are used in the same map, but we each have a different sort of feel to them. Nice storage area, again covered in fuel trigger. We've got a couple of bins there. Now I'm not sure if those bins are usable or not. They certainly don't seem to have an unload point, so I would suggest, like some of the others we've seen, they are just decoration. We do have some bins on this farm that we'll go and take a look at in just a minute. We're just going to carry on having a look. We've got the shed there. First of the Quonsets. We haven't actually seen a Quonset on any of the other farms. We've got that there as well, and a slightly larger one. I'm assuming it's the same, called the same thing, a slightly different style. Nice and big and open in there. And then moving on over here, another dairy barn. This might actually be for pigs. Possibly. I can't see any milk triggers or anything like that. This possibly is a Circle Farm sty, so it definitely is a pig sty or hog barn. You can see there in the name. And there you go, 500 pig capacity in this one, so you can have a decent amount of hogs to breed and make a good profit off. As we all know, pigs can be quite profitable once they start breeding. We're just going to carry back around here, head on down this track because we need to go and find our grain silo, which I can see the blue dot for. I'm just trying to figure out which is the best way to get there. I'll have a look through this track. No, this list takes us into the cattle pen. Let's go and take a look somewhere else. Well, it was conveniently hidden. This doesn't actually work much as a shed. You could probably park a semi and a trailer in here or something like that. But here is our grain bins through here. Another dryer complex as well, so dry corn and things like that, but a couple of bins there to use for storing your crops. And if we take a look, it must access us back out onto the road this way. Must be a second entrance into the farm. It's a rather old looking class dominator. If I'm not mistaken, the lizard branding, looks like someone's tagged it with that. Sacrilege. And there we are, yes, it takes us back out here. Oh, and there's a track that runs along the front, so it's quite accessible to get into the silos. Just had to know to go through the shed. Now, one thing we didn't look as we were wandering around the starter farm is the starting equipment. I'd originally recorded that aspect of the video before the final map was completed, and we're just taking a look at that now. So right here in front of us, you can see we do start off with a 4755 tractor. There is a lime spreader there, or fertilizer spreader, and we've also got the hardy sprayer there. So a little bit of crop protection and fertilization equipment in this shed. Also got the ProLander cultivator here, so a nice decent sized piece of tillage equipment. Another John Deere tractor, the 7810 here. It's got the Rudolph trailer on the back. We've got the Kinsey planter on the left for obviously soybeans, corn, those kind of crops, and then we've got the Vetastat planter there, or cedar, which you can use for your wheats and all those kind of grains. And up here above the dairy, which we hadn't actually looked at, there's a bit of a loft space, and we've got a slurry spreader there on the left. There's also a feed mixer over in the corner, and back over this side we have a little New Holland skid steer, which has a nice little bucket there on the front, so it's something for mucking out or anything like that. So pretty simple little starting equipment. I know most people who play on PC will probably go their own route there with picking other equipment and going with what they want to use. But it's nice to see that DJ has added that in there. Obviously he has a real affection for green equipment, having the John Deere dealership and the collection of John Deere equipment here on a farm. Funny how from above it's quite obvious how to get to something, but from down at ground level it is a little bit confusing. Which is actually why I can see the benefit for doing a map tour in this orientation and using both a bit of a flyover as well as on-ground exploration to go and show you everything that I can find and that we can see. I was just looking on the map, there is one other farmyard that we didn't take a chance to look at, and that is back over this way. And I think this might be where the third of the pigsties is. We did say at the start that there was 8 dairy barns, and I think we've probably just about seen all of those. We might have only seen 7, and that there was 3 pigsties, and I know we've only seen 2 of those, so there's still one outstanding. A couple more of those silos just floating over in the field there on the right as well. Again, look at these interesting fields. Such a nice shape, such a nice little area. That one there, that little sliver of field that runs around the bottom of the bank. Likewise with this one. Nightmare to harvest, but it does make it look very good. Here we are, this is another one of the farmyards, and in fact, I think if there's that one there, and there is our other hog barn over there. So we'll jump down here and take a look at this one. Through the gates we go, we'll head on down here. Like I said last time, we hadn't seen any Quonsets, well there is our second one. So another bit of storage in there. Space. Farmers in their toy sheds, never going to get tired of saying that. Slightly different colour on these barns, which is good. A little bit of variety, never goes astray. Get in here to the shop. Lots and lots of equipment in there, a little bit of storage space up the top. Farm office as well. Looks like they might have been trying to buy a case tractor. Carry on around the corner, we've got a couple more sheds. There's no shortage of space or storage on any of these farms. I think you'd be doing pretty well to have enough equipment to fill everything and having to leave stuff outside. Decent size dryer complex here, decent number of bins and nicely set up. And then if we head over here, this must be our 8th dairy barn, I'd say. And quite different to all the rest too, with this rather steep and raised access way up in here to this loft area. Good for some hay storage. And I think if we come around the other side here, it'll be our loading race, so we can get our animals in. If we come around and have a look around the bottom, you can get in under here into the stalls and milking parlour and everything like that. And then another one of these wonderful large wide open pastures. Very nicely done. Right, we'll go and take a look at the last of the hog barns just up the road. So that gate caught me out. It's the only one I've found that opens out onto the road, but you can understand why. There's obviously the ditch there, so it doesn't obstruct anything, and you've got an access way that's very, very close to the fence on the way around. We're just going to head up here. There's not much else to see here except for this hog barn, so it's probably one that you'd associate with the farmyard next to us. There is a storage shed down the back there, so you can have a little bit of equipment here and have it stored. Slurry fill point down on the back, and obviously your feed supplies get tipped into there as well. So nice little area where you might just want to run some hogs without having it attached to a main farmyard. Perhaps you can't stand the smell. Who knows? But very good to see. Very good to see. So I think we've pretty much seen everything there is to see on Upper Mississippi River Valley, or more affectionately known as UMRV, presented by DJ Modding. Now, we started over there on the other side of the river, right over in the far distance, and took a look at the Wisconsin side of the river and of the map. Checked out all the fields, the one farmyard over there, before we had a look at all the different production points and sell points on that side of the river, and then worked our way back down here on the Iowa side. We came up onto the top here, up onto the elevated area where all the farmyards are, and we followed our way around, kind of on the edge of the map. Took a look at all the farmyards, located I think all of them. Took a look at all the different shape of the fields, and there really is some unique fields in here, which gives it certainly a very special vibe. Before we finish things up, well, where we are here right now. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you to DJ Modding for allowing me to have early access to the map and allowing me to show this off to you. I know obviously there has been a number of other YouTuber and content creators who've had a chance to look at it as well, and I certainly welcome their opinions. It's always nice to see what others think of a map and how they show it off to you. So I hope that has been of interest and has been helpful to you. The map is not too far away from being released. I've deliberately held off on releasing my video to be closer to that release and working with DJ on that, so I do again thank him for working with me, and look forward to seeing people playing on this map. Like I said earlier, I've never played on UMRV, and after seeing some of the fields, I think it might be one that I might give a try. So, from me, Argsy Gaming, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that map preview, and catch you in the next one.